The rain-slicked streets of Seattle hissed under the tires of Logan's beat-up Ford as he slammed on the brakes outside Eddie's barbershop, the engine coughing like it was as done with life as he was. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, breath fogging the windshield, while inside his chest, the echo of his boyfriend's voice, "You're nothing without me, you pathetic fag," looped like a bad track on repeat. He hadn't planned to stop here. Hell, he hadn't planned on surviving the drive home from that godforsaken apartment where everything had shattered, but the neon sign flickering open through the downpour felt like a cruel joke from the universe, daring him to pretend he was still whole. Logan killed the ignition, the sudden silence amplifying the thunder cracking overhead, and for a split second, he considered flooring it into the nearest bridge abutment, just to make the noise in his head stop. But then the shop door swung open, spilling warm yellow light onto the pavement, and a voice cut through the storm like a lifeline he didn't deserve. "Hey, man, you gonna sit there all night or come in before you drown?" Logan wiped the rain from his face with the sleeve of his hoodie, tasting salt that wasn't from the weather, and forced his legs to move. The bell above the door jingled like a false promise as he stepped inside, the scent of bay rum and leather polish hitting him like a memory he couldn't place. Something from childhood barbershops in small-town Ohio, back when his dad still ruffled his hair and called him champ, instead of disowning him over a leaked photo from high school. The shop was a time capsule. Faded red vinyl chairs, posters of classic muscle cars yellowed at the edges, and a single barber mid-30s, broad-shouldered, with ink peeking from the cuffs of his crisp white shirt, tilting his head with a half-smile that didn't reach his hazel eyes. "Evening," the barber said, setting down a straight razor mid-wipe on a towel. His name tag read Steven, etched in that no-nonsense font that screamed military surplus store. "Rough night out there. What'll it be? Buzz? Fade? Or just a trim to match that storm cloud you're carrying?" Logan dropped into the chair without a word, the vinyl creaking under him like it was judging. He stared at his reflection in the mirror, hollow cheeks, eyes red-rimmed from more than allergies, hair a overgrown mess that screamed "I gave up months ago." "Just make it short. Whatever you think. I don't care." His voice cracked on the last word, and he hated how it hung in the air, vulnerable as an exposed wire. Steven draped the cape over Logan's shoulders, the fabric cool against his neck, and met his gaze in the mirror. Close. Steven's face was all sharp angles softened by a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, like he'd fought a war with a razor and called it a draw. "All right. Short it is. But fair warning, I'm not one of those assembly line clipper guys. I take my time. You got somewhere to be. Nowhere that matters." Logan bit the inside of his cheek, tasting blood, and closed his eyes as the first snip of scissors echoed like a gunshot. The rain pattered against the window, a steady rhythm that almost drowned out the ache in his ribs where Alex had grabbed him too hard during their final screaming match. "You're leaving? After everything?" Alex had snarled, his fist connecting with the wall inches from Logan's head. "No one's gonna want your broken ass." And the worst part? Logan had believed him. 5 years down the drain. All because Alex couldn't handle the promotion that pulled Logan across the country to this gray-skied hellhole called Seattle. As Steven worked, his hands steady and sure, Logan let his mind drift to the what-ifs. What if he'd never followed Alex out here for that tech job at Microsoft? What if he'd stayed in Ohio, scraping by as a barista, flirting harmlessly with the cute delivery guy instead of diving headfirst into a relationship that turned toxic faster than milk left on the counter? The scissors paused, and Steven's reflection loomed closer, breath warm against Logan's ear. You all right, buddy? You're clenching like you're expecting a jump scare. Logan's eyes snapped open, meeting Stephen's in the glass. Concern etched there, real and unfiltered, not the pitying glaze Alex always wore like a badge. Yeah. Just ex-drama. The usual. He forced a laugh, but it came out hollow, echoing off the wood-paneled walls. Stephen hummed, low and thoughtful, resuming the cut with a gentleness that bordered on intimate. Usual. Huh? Sounds like the kind that leaves marks you can't see. My ex was a bartender downtown, charming as hell until the jealousy kicked in. Threw a bottle at my head once. Walked out the next day and never looked back. He clipped a stray lock, the motion precise, almost tender. Name's Stephen, by the way. And yours? Logan. The name felt foreign on his tongue, like admitting it made the pain real. He didn't throw anything. Just words. But damn, they cut deeper. Stephen's hands stilled again, this time on Logan's shoulders, a grounding weight that sent an unexpected spark up his spine. Not lust, not quite, but something warmer, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Words are weapons, man. Sharpest ones we got. But they don't have to stick if you don't let them. He stepped back, grabbing the clippers, the buzz filling the silence like white noise for the soul. Tell you what, after this, first beer's on me. Eddie's got a cooler in the back. No strings, just two guys who've been through the ringer. Logan wanted to say no, to bolt back into the rain and nurse his wounds alone. But the mirror showed a man starting to emerge from the chaos. Edges defined, shadows lifting. Yeah, he murmured, surprising himself. Why the hell not? The haircut took 20 minutes, but it felt like hours, conversations weaving through the snips. Stephen sharing stories of his army days in Fallujah, the buddies he lost, the ink on his arms mapping the ghosts he carried. Logan found himself opening up in fragments. The conservative family back home who'd cut him off when he came out at 17. The parade of bad dates in college. The way Alex had started as a whirlwind romance and ended as a cage. By the time Stephen flicked off the cape, brushing stray hairs from Logan's neck with a callous thumb, the shop felt less like a pit stop and more like sanctuary. Looking sharp, Stephen said, spinning the chair to face the mirror. Logan's reflection stared back, clean lines, a fade that hugged his skull just right, eyes a little less haunted. Like a new man, Logan ran a hand over the fresh cut, the skin tingling under his fingers. Feels lighter. Thanks, man. He stood, fishing for his wallet, but Stephen waved him off. Cash only for the cut. But the ear? That's on the house. He nodded toward the back room, where a mini-fridge hummed softly. Come on. Rain's not letting up anytime soon. They settled on mismatched stools by a workbench cluttered with pomade jars and old Sports Illustrated mags, cracking open cold Rainiers that tasted like pine and regret. The conversation flowed easy. Baseball, Mariners were cursed. Per Stephen. The best dive bars in Capitol Hill. The absurdity of Seattle's coffee obsession when you just wanted a decent diner hash. Logan laughed for the first time in weeks. A real belly laugh that shook the tension from his bones. And Stephen's eyes crinkled at the corners, lighting up like he'd won some unspoken bet. As the clock ticked past midnight, the rain easing to a drizzle, Logan realized he hadn't thought of Alex once in the last hour. This was unexpected, he admitted, draining his bottle. I came in here a mess. Leaving. Not so much. Stephen leaned against the counter, arms crossed over his chest. The tattoo of a compass rose peeking from his sleeve, a nod to finding north after the desert sands. Sometimes that's all it takes. A clean cut. Lets the bullshit fall away. His gaze held Logan's, steady and searching, and for a heartbeat, the air thickened with possibility. Not pressure, just potential. Hey, if you're not rushing back to that empty apartment, there's a food truck rally down by the pier tomorrow. Nothing fancy, tacos, live music, the works. Could use a wingman who doesn't hog the hot sauce. Logan's heart stuttered, a traitorous flip that whispered danger even as it sang hope. It had been so long since anyone looked at him like he was worth the invite, not a project to fix or a burden to bear. Yeah, he said, voice soft but sure. I'd like that. They exchanged numbers under the buzz of the fluorescent lights, promises hanging in the damp air like fog off the sound. Logan stepped out into the night, the cool mist kissing his newly shorn neck, and for the first time in months, the weight on his shoulders felt like it might lift. Little did he know, the real storm was just brewing, the kind that tests if a spark can survive the gale. The pier smelled like salt and sizzling carne asada, the kind of chaotic Saturday vibe that made Seattle feel alive despite its perpetual gloom. Logan arrived 10 minutes early, hands shoved in his jeans pockets, second-guessing the faded flannel he'd thrown on over a plain tee, casual enough not to scream trying too hard, but fitted just right to show the lean muscle from his sporadic gym habit. His phone buzzed with a text from his sister back in Ohio. Heard about the breakup. You okay? Mom's asking, but I told her to shove it. He thumbed a quick surviving. Miss you. Before pocketing it, not ready to unpack the family fallout just yet. Stephen appeared through the crowd like he'd stepped out of a Norman Rockwell painting reimagined for the queer underground. Faded Levi's hugging his thighs, a Henley stretched across his chest. Sleeves rolled to reveal forearms corded from years of wielding shears and, before that, M4 rifles. A mariner's cap shadowed his eyes, but the grin splitting his face was pure daylight. There he is, the man who survived my clippers without flinching. You clean up even nicer than I figured. Logan felt heat creep up his neck, blaming the food truck smoke, and clapped Stephen on the shoulder, a bro move that lingered a beat too long. Says the guy who looks like he wandered off a lumberjack calendar. Ready to lose at cornhole, they dove into the fray, plates piled with al pastor tacos dripping with pineapple and cilantro, the spice cutting through the chill like a declaration of summer in disguise. Music thumped from a makeshift stage. Indie folk with a twang that evoked open roads and heartbreak anthems, and Stephen dragged Logan into the fray for a half-hearted two-step, their boots scuffing the gravel in awkward sync. Laughter bubbled up unbidden, Logan's sides aching from it, and when Stephen's hand brushed his waist to steady him during a spin, the touch lingered like an afterimage, warm and electric. Over shared churros dusted with cinnamon, the talk turned deeper, the crowd fading to a hum. Stephen spoke of his discharge from the Army 5 years back. PTSD that turned bar lights into IED flashes, the VA waitlists longer than his tour. Opened the shop with my discharge bonus and a prayer, he said, dipping the fried dough in chocolate. Eddie was my uncle, left it to me when cancer took him. Best decision I ever made. Cutting hair? It's therapy. For them and me. Logan nodded, tracing patterns in the condensation on his soda bottle. Sounds noble. Me? I'm just a code monkey at Microsoft, debugging apps for rich assholes who think AI's gonna solve world hunger. Pays the rent, though. He hesitated, the words sticking like burrs. After Alex, it was the job that kept me here. Now, feels like I'm floating. Steven's eyes softened, that hazel depth pulling Logan in like tide pools hiding sea stars. Floating's not falling. Gives you room to choose your current. He paused, popping the last churro bite into his mouth. Speaking of, ever been up to Discovery Park? Trails hit the water just right this time of year. Clears the head better than any app. The invite hung casual, but Logan's pulse kicked up a notch. Subtle pivot. Barber boy. But yeah, lead the way. Sunday dawned crisp. The kind of Pacific Northwest blue that tricks you into forgetting winter's grip. They met at the park entrance. Steven in hiking boots and a wool jacket that smelled faintly of sandalwood. Logan in sneakers that proved he was more urban hiker than trail boss. The paths wound through madrona trees shedding bark like old skin. Ferns brushing their calves. The sound glittering below like shattered glass. They talked in fits and starts. Steven recounting a deployment story about a buddy's bad joke saving their squad. Logan admitting how coming out had nuked his draft dreams, leaving him with student loans and a chip on his shoulder. At a bluff overlook, they dropped onto a driftwood log, the waves crashing rhythmic below. Steven unpacked a thermos of black coffee, strong as regret, and passed Logan a mug. To new trails, he toasted, clinking ceramic. To not tripping over roots. Logan sipped, the bitterness grounding him, and let the silence settle. It wasn't awkward. It was companionable, the kind you earn. But then his phone shattered it, a voicemail notification from Alex. We need to talk. I was wrong. Come back. The words slithered through the speaker on low volume, venom wrapped in velvet, and Logan's grip tightened on the mug until his knuckles paled. Steven caught the shift, face clouding. Ghost from the past? More like a poltergeist. Logan deleted it without replying, but the poison lingered. Says he was wrong. Like that's gonna erase the bruises. Steven's jaw set, a muscle ticking. Wrong's one thing. Hurting you? That's a choice. Don't let him rewrite the map. He set his mug down, turning to face Logan fully, close enough that the wind carried his warmth. You're not broken, Logan. You're just... Mid-story, the words landed soft, but they hit like a gut punch in the best way. Logan's throat tightened, and before he could overthink it, he leaned in, pressing his forehead to Steven's shoulder. Not a kiss. Not yet. Just contact. Raw and real. Steven's arm came around him, solid as oak, holding without demanding. They stayed like that until the sun dipped low, painting the water gold. Driving back, windows down, wind whipping through the cab of Steven's old Tacoma. Logan felt the first stirrings of something dangerous. Trust. But trust, he knew, was a double-edged blade. Weeks blurred into a rhythm that felt dangerously like routine. Tuesdays became haircut nights, even when Logan didn't need one. Steven's chair a confessional, the buzz of clippers a metronome for confessions. Fridays, dive bar hops in Belltown, nursing IPAs while dissecting bad movies on the jukebox. Steven introduced him to his crew. Marco, the tattoo artist with a penchant for dad jokes. Lena, the barista who read tarot between shifts and swore Logan had survivor energy. Logan met them at a backyard barbecue in Fremont, grilling veggie skewers while Steven manned the ribs, their knees bumping under the picnic table in silent conspiracy. It was easy. This building, too easy. Maybe. Logan caught himself staring at Steven's hands during quiet moments, the way veins mapped stories across his skin, or how his laugh lines deepened when he talked about reopening the shop post-pandemic, turning it into a community hub with free cuts for vets. One night, after a particularly brutal code crunch left Logan crashing on Steven's couch, a sagging leather number in his queen and walk-up, they woke tangled in blankets, Steven's arm slung over Logan's waist like it belonged there. "Morning," Steven murmured, voice gravelly from sleep, not pulling away. Logan froze, heart hammering, then relaxed into it. Morning. No awkward scramble, just the slow untangle and a shared pot of oatmeal with too much brown sugar. But the seed was planted, desire, quiet and insistent, blooming in the spaces between. Enter the conflict, a letter from home. Logan's mom, post-stroke, frail in a nursing home bed, penning shaky words, "Your father and I forgive you. Come see us. Family's family." It arrived on a Thursday, tucked in his mailbox like a grenade. Forgiveness? After years of silence. The conversion therapy pamphlets. The pray the gay away ultimatums? Logan crumpled it, but the doubt festered. He showed it to Steven that night over takeout pho, steam curling like questions. They think a hallmark moment erases it all. Like I can just flip a switch. Steven read it silently, face unreadable, then set it down. Blood's thick, but it don't mean it's right. You owe them nothing you ain't ready to give. He reached across the coffee table, squeezing Logan's knee, an anchor in the swell. But if you want to go, I'll drive. Or wait here with beer and bad TV. Your call. The offer cracked something in Logan, tears hot and unbidden. Why are you so good at this? At me? Steven's smile was small, sad at the edges. Because I've been the prodigal too. Dad was a cop, couldn't handle the don't ask, don't tell hypocrisy. We talk now, holidays mostly. It's progress. He pulled Logan close, chin resting on his crown. You're worth the mess, Logan. Every bit. That night, they crossed the line, not with fireworks, but with whispers. A kiss in the dim kitchen light, tentative and tasting of lemongrass and homecoming. Steven's lips were chapped from the wind, hands framing Logan's face like he was porcelain. Deep and slow, unraveling, until they broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed. Stay, Steven asked, voice rough. Logan nodded, and they did, curled on the couch, hearts sinking to the rain's patter. It was the start of us, fragile as first frost. But fragility invites fracture. Alex texted the next day, saw your Insta. New guy? Careful, he'll drop you like I did. Attached. A screenshot of Steven's shop profile, unearthed from some digital grave. Jealousy, pure and petty, slithering back in. Logan blocked him, but the worm of doubt burrowed deep. Fall crept in with amber leaves clogging the gutters and a chill that seeped into bones, mirroring the slow frost on Logan's budding hope. He and Steven fell into a groove that felt scripted by some benevolent god. Mornings with Steven's alarm blaring Springsteen, Logan fumbling eggs while Steven shaved at the sink, foam flecking the mirror like stars. Evenings wound down with walks along the locks, watching salmon leap against the current. Steven's hand in Logan's pocket for warmth, fingers laced casual as breathing. Logan's work stabilized. A project lead promotion came through, the kind with stock options and a corner cubicle overlooking the sound. He celebrated by surprising Steven with tickets to a Sounders match. the stadium electric with chants and green flares lighting the night. In the stands, pressed shoulder to shoulder amid the roar, Steven yelled goals with boyish fervor, then turned to Logan mid-cheer, planting a kiss salty with pretzels and unbridled joy. "This," he shouted over the din, "this is living." But joy's shadow is doubt, and Alex's ghost refused to stay buried. Unblocked on email, Logan hadn't thought to check. He started with apologies. "I miss your laugh. Remember Joshua Tree?" Attached photos from their road trip. Sunsets bleeding red over Joshua trees. Logan's arm around Alex's waist. Grins wide and unscarred. Then the pivot, "Your new man's using you. Barbers don't date coders, they play house till something shinier walks in." Logan deleted, blocked, seethed in the shower until the water ran cold. But the seeds took root, watered by old insecurities. At a team happy hour, a colleague's offhand "Heard you're seeing someone. Hope he's not another rebound" landed like shrapnel. Rebound. The word echoed, twisting Steven's easy affections into pity projects. He pulled away subtly, canceled a hike citing deadlines, answered texts hours late. Steven noticed, of course. His eyes sharpened during their next haircut, scissors pausing mid-snip. "Talk to me, Lo. You're vanishing on me." Logan stared at the floor, cape itching like guilt. "Just work. Crunch time. A lie. Thin as mist." Steven set the shears down, hands on Logan's shoulders, thumbs circling knots. "Bull. We've danced this dance. If it's me, if I'm too much, too fast, say it. I won't shatter." "It's not." Logan swallowed, the truth bitter. Alex emailed. Digging up graves. Making me question everything. Steven's face darkened. Not anger at Logan, but at the intruder. "That son of a bitch. Block him everywhere. He's poison, trying to drag you back to his level." He tilted Logan's chin up, gaze fierce. "But if it's doubt about us, that's fair. We're new. Scary new. But I'm in, Logan. All the way." The sincerity cracked Logan's walls, and he spilled it, the emails, the coworker jab, the fear that Steven's steadiness was pity for the broken queer kid from Ohio. Steven listened, then pulled him into a hug that smelled of aftershave and resolve. "Pity? Hell no. I see you, the guy who codes miracles and laughs at my shitty puns. The one who makes this city feel like home." He kissed Logan's temple, lingering. "We're building, not rebounding. But only if you want it." "I do." Logan clung, breathing him in. Scared shitless. But yeah, they rebuilt from there. Stronger, date nights at the Rep Theater, dissecting Tennessee Williams over post-show whiskey, volunteer shifts at the shop's vet outreach, Logan holding clippers while Steven counseled, their glances loaded with pride. Thanksgiving loomed, and Steven invited him to his family's spread in Tacoma. Mom's turkey, Dad's awkward grilling questions, a sister who hugged Logan like a long-lost brother and whispered, "He smiles different with you." It was perfect, almost too much. Logan flew home to Ohio for a tense weekend, his mom's frail hand in his, Dad's gruff "glad you're happy," son over pie, the forgiveness tasting like ash mixed with honey. He returned lighter, boarding the red eye with a duffel of forgiveness and a resolve to let go. But betrayal brews in the blind spots. While Logan was airborne, Steven's phone lit up with a call from an old flame, Jake, the ex-bartender, slurring from a dive. "Miss you, Stevie." That kid's temporary. Come drink. Steven hung up, deleted the contact, but Jake didn't stop. Texts escalated, photos of them in better days, then a voicemail laced with venom. He's using you for stability. I know you settle. Steven confided in Marco over beers, venting the frustration. Logan's solid. But this ghost crap? It's wearing me down. Marco, ever the wisecracker, clapped his back. Tell him. Bottles break if you shake 'em. Steven nodded, but the seed of hesitation sprouted. Old wounds from Jake's bottle-throwing rage, the fear of being the fixer again. He buried it, planning a surprise. A weekend cabin in the Olympics. Just them. No signals. Logan arrived buzzing from the flight, oblivious. They drove out Friday, winding through evergreens heavy with mist. The cabin a rustic A-frame with a stone fireplace and a deck overlooking a glassy lake. Steven cooked, steak seared rare, potatoes roasted with rosemary from his window herb box, while Logan uncorked a cab from the local vineyard. Dinner by firelight, stories flowing like wine. Logan's awkward family truce. Steven's dream of expanding the shop into a full salon for queer youth. Post-meal, they tumbled to the rug, kisses heating from tender to urgent, hands mapping familiar territories. It was lovemaking in the soft sense, bodies aligning with whispers, Steven's breath hitching on Logan's name, Logan's fingers tracing the compass tattoo like a vow. Dawn found them wrapped in quilts on the porch, coffee steaming, world hushed. I love you, Logan murmured, the words slipping out unprompted, raw as dawn light. Steven stilled, then smiled, slow and sure. Love you too, code wizard. He kissed Logan's knuckles, sealing it. But on the drive back, Jake's car tailed them from a gas station. Subtle, then blatant, pulling alongside at a light to flash headlights. Steven's face paled. He gunned the engine, losing him in traffic, but the damage was done. Old trouble, he muttered when Logan pressed. Won't say more. Not ruining this. Logan nodded, but the omission festered, a crack in the foundation. Back in the city, the texts from Alex ramped up. Anonymous now via burner apps. Steven's ex called him last night. Bet he's comparing notes. Lies, but time to wound. Logan confronted Steven gently over breakfast. Anything I should know about Jake? Steven sighed, setting down his fork. He reached out. I shut it down. End of story. But Logan's doubt, fed by Alex's poison, whispered, is it? Trust frayed, threads pulling loose. The climax built like a squall line. Christmas approached, festive lights mocking the gloom. Steven proposed they host a shop party, queer community bash. Free hair, hot cider, a tree strung with rainbow bulbs. Logan dove in, baking cookies with Lena, stringing garland while Steven played DJ with queer anthems from Chapel Roan to Classic Judy. The night buzzed, 50 souls crammed in, laughter echoing off mirrors, stories swapped like gifts. Logan felt whole, arm around Steven's waist as they posed for a Polaroid under mistletoe. But midway, his phone vibrated, a video from an unknown number. Alex, drunk and raging in their old apartment, ranting. Steven's playing you. I talked to Jake. He says your boy's got a wandering eye. Always did. Cut to Jake's voiceover. Fabricated deepfake smooth. Stevie's in love? Nah. He's lonely. You'll see. Logan slipped out back. Rain sheeting down. Video looping like a curse. Betrayal, not Stephen's, but Alex's orchestrated sabotage hit like a freight train. He confronted Stephen in the alley, phone thrust forward. "This true?" Jake says. Stephen's face crumpled, hurt flashing. "It's bullshit." Jake's a liar. Alex is worse. "I told you everything." But the seed Marco had warned about? It bloomed ugly. Stephen, in a moment of weakness, admitting he'd met Jake for coffee weeks back. "Just closure," he pleaded. "Nothing happened. Swear it." But to Logan, raw and reeling, it was enough. Closure? While I'm spilling my guts. Feels like betrayal. "Stephen." He stormed off into the night, cab lights blurring through tears, the party cheer a distant roar. Alone in his apartment, Logan curled on the bed, Alex's victory lap echoing. He'd trusted, built, loved, and it shattered on half-truths. The fallout hit like a Seattle winter, relentless, bone-deep cold that no heater could touch. Logan called in sick to work for 3 days straight, the apartment a cave of takeout boxes and Netflix queues, rom-coms mocking him with their tidy resolutions. His phone stayed dark. Stephen's texts piled up unread. "Please talk." It wasn't what it seemed. "I love you. Don't let him win." But every ping twisted the knife. Alex's video a phantom replay in his mind. On day 4, hunger dragged him out to the corner market for ramen, hood up against the sleet. There, in the cereal aisle, stood his sister Ellie, fresh off a flight from Columbus, arms loaded with frosted flakes and a fierce big sister glare. "Mom guilt me into checking on you. Said you sounded off on the call." She dropped the box, pulling him into a hug that smelled of airports and home. "What the hell happened? Lo, you look like death warmed over." They ended up at his place, Ellie brewing tea strong as her opinions, prying the story loose over mugs chipped from better days. Logan spilled it all, the haircut hook, the pier dates, the cabin confessions, the party implosion. "I thought he was different. But secrets, even small ones, they kill." Ellie nodded. No judgment, just the steady rhythm of family that endures. Secrets are cowards' tools. But love, that's messy. Doesn't mean it's dead. She squeezed his hand. "Go see him. Yell, cry, whatever. But hear the man out. You've earned that much." Her words lingered like fog as she flew back, leaving Logan with a plane ticket stub and resolve. He showed up at the shop unannounced. Mid-afternoon lull, the bell jingling like Judgment Day. Stephen looked up from sweeping clippings, broom pausing mid-sweep, eyes bloodshot and shadowed mirror to Logan's own wreckage. "Lo," Stephen started, voice cracking, but Logan held up a hand. "Not here. Close up. We talk. For real." They drove in silence to Gas Works Park, the old gasification plant a skeletal guardian over the bay. Turbines rusted like forgotten dreams. Winter wind whipped off the water, biting through coats as they climbed to the hilltop, the city lights winking like distant fires. Logan started, words tumbling raw, the hurt, the fear, how Alex's lies amplified every old scar. "I need truth, Stephen. All of it. No more coffee dates with ghosts." Stephen leaned against a pipe, face gaunt in the sodium glow. "Truth? Jake called after you left for Ohio. Said he was sorry, wanted to apologize in person. I met him at a diner, public, quick. He begged to come back. I said no. Blocked him again. Then Alex must have sniffed it out, twisted it. He raked hands through his hair, compass tattoo flexing. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to drag his crap into us. Stupid. I know. Pride or fear, pick your poison. Logan paced, boots crunching gravel, the admission a bomb and Barb. Pride? That's what broke us. You could have trusted me with it. I know. Steven stepped closer, voice low. I fucked up. But Alex, he's the betrayer here, hacking your peace like it's his right. I should have seen it coming, protected you better. The vulnerability in Steven's eyes, stripped bare, no defenses, undid Logan. He closed the gap, fists bunching in Steven's jacket. I hate that I believed him. Hated you for a minute there. A sob escaped, hot and unashamed. But I miss you. God, I miss us. Steven pulled him in, arms a fortress against the gale. Miss you more. Every damn day. The kiss that followed was salt-streaked, desperate, a reclamation, fierce and forgiving. They stood there until numb toes forced retreat, driving back with hands clasped over the console, the silence now laced with mending. Rebuilding wasn't linear. It zigzagged like Seattle's hills. Therapy sessions for Logan, virtual with a queer counselor who unpacked the family abandonment. The Alex abuse in clinical terms that somehow humanized the horror. Steven joined a couple, his PTSD flares laid bare, the two of them tag-teaming exercises on the shop floor after hours, breathing synced like a duet. Spring thawed the ice, cherry blossoms rioting pink along the avenues. They adopted a rescue mutt, a scruffy terrier mix named Scout, all wagging tail and zero chill, who claimed the foot of Steven's bed as his throne. Dates evolved, a road trip to the Oregon coast, cannon beaches stretching endless, campfires crackling with ghost stories and s'mores charred just right. Logan sketched code on napkins while Steven whittled driftwood, their worlds overlapping in quiet harmony. But conflict simmers. It doesn't vanish. Alex escalated, mailing a package to the shop, photos of Logan from their years together, annotated with vicious Sharpie. Remember who you were? Steven burned them in the backyard fire pit, ashes scattering like exorcism, but the intent lingered. Then the call. Logan's mom, voice trembling over the line. Your father's sick. Cancer. Come home. We need to make peace. Logan froze in the kitchen, phone slick in his palm. Steven pausing mid-chop on dinner prep. Mom. Now, after everything, it's family. Logan. Blood. The words echoed Alex's manipulations, twisting fresh. He hung up, collapsing at the table, head in hands. Steven knelt beside him, hand on his back. Go if you need to. I'll hold the fort. But remember, you're not theirs to summon. The flight to Ohio was turbulence incarnate, mirroring Logan's gut. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret. His dad a shadow in the bed, tubes snaking like accusations. Mom hovered, eyes puffy, offering watery smiles. He's been asking for you. The reconciliation was halting. Dad's gruff, proud of you. Son. Should have said sooner. Mom's tears soaking his shirt. But under it, barbs. Subtle digs at your lifestyle. A pamphlet on healing slipped into his bag. Logan stayed a week, nursing coffee in waiting rooms, video calling Steven each night. It's progress. Or a truce. Hard to tell. Trust your gut, Steven said. Scout snores in the background. You're the strongest man I know. Return brought catharsis. Logan confronted the family ghosts head-on. A tearful dinner where he laid it out. Love me as I am, or not at all. They nodded. Tentative promises exchanged. But he left with boundaries firm as rebar. Back home, Stephen waited at the gate with a sign. Welcome back, my heart. The hug was airport public, unapologetic, drawing smiles from strangers. That night, over homemade lasagna, Logan proposed the next step. Move in? For real. Scouts tired of 2 commutes. Stephen grinned, eyes shining. Thought you'd never ask. Summer bloomed hot and hazy, their shared life a tapestry weaving tighter. But betrayal's echo demanded one final stand. Alex showed up, uninvited, at the shop during a slow hour, reeking of stale beer and entitlement. Logan around? Need to talk. Stephen blocked the door, arms crossed, voice steel. Not here. Not ever. Leave, or I call the cops. Alex sneered, shoving forward. You? The rebound? He was mine first. The scuffle was brief. Stephen's army reflexes pinning him against the wall. Logan's arrival just in time, bursting through the bell with groceries tumbling. Get out, Logan roared, voice thunder. We're done. Done. Alex slunk away, tail between legs, a restraining order filed by week's end. The aftermath bonded them deeper. Stephen's bruise blooming purple on his jaw, Logan's hand steadying the ice pack, whispers of we're unbreakable in the dark. Yet, in quiet moments, Logan traced Stephen's scars, wondering at the cost of love's wars. Worth it? He asked once. Post-lovemaking, sheets tangled. Stephen pulled him closer. Every scar. Every fight. You. Autumn returned with a vengeance. Leaves carpeting the sidewalks in fiery protest against the encroaching chill. Much like the undercurrent of unease that began to thread through Logan and Stephen's days. The restraining order held Alex at bay, court dates dodged with Zoom hearings, his digital footprints scrubbed by Logan's tech-savvy friends. But the man's shadow loomed, a persistent fog that dampened even the brightest mornings. Scout sensed it too, whining at doors, tail thumping hesitant when Stephen's shifts ran late. Work for Logan ramped up, a high-stakes app rollout for a nonprofit tracking queer youth resources nationwide. Ironic, given his own jagged path. Late nights blurred into dawn, code lines swimming like accusations, and Stephen bore the brunt, leaving dinners warming on the stove, notes scrawled on post-its, proud of you. Eat something. Guilt gnawed at Logan, manifesting in snapped retorts over forgotten laundry or Scout's chewed slippers. I'm trying, he'd mutter, rubbing temples. This project's a beast. Stephen, ever the anchor, absorbed it with grace honed from foxholes. I know. We're a team. Tag me in when you need a break. But cracks showed, Stephen's own therapy lapses, nightmares jolting him awake with desert sands in his throat. Logan's exhaustion leaving little bandwidth for midnight comforts. The real fracture came unbidden. A Tuesday in October when Logan's phone lit up during a client call. A news alert. Local barber honored for veteran outreach, Stephen Hale, Eddie's Barber Shop. The article glowed with praise, clips for homeless vets, partnerships with the LGBTQ+ Center. Stephen's face beaming beside the mayor. Pride swelled in Logan's chest. But so did a petty sting. Why didn't he tell me? The omission felt like Jake's coffee all over again. A secret hoarded. He confronted Stephen that evening over cooling stir-fry, voice sharper than intended. Big award. Huh? Mayor shaking your hand like you're the second coming. Congrats. Oh wait, I wouldn't know, since you buried it. Stephen paused. Chopsticks midway. It was last minute. Didn't want to jinx the rollout for you. His tone even, but eyes wary. Bullshit. Logan shoved his plate. It's always don't burden Logan. I'm your partner, not a fragile kid. Stephen's fork clattered. And I'm trying not to add to your load. You come home dead on your feet. I handle the shop spotlights so you don't have to play cheerleader. The words landed like slaps, escalating to shouts that echoed off kitchen tiles. Logan's you shut me out. Stephen's I'm protecting us. Scout slunk under the table, tail tucked, as they stormed to separate corners. Logan to the couch, Stephen to the bedroom door. Silence stretched, thick as regret, until Stephen's voice filtered soft. I'm sorry. Habit from the army carry the weight solo. But you're right. No more. Logan crossed the threshold, finding Stephen cross-legged on the bed, head bowed. Me too. Snapping at shadows. They met in the middle. Apologies murmured into collarbones. Bodies seeking solace in familiar curves. But the fight lingered, a bruise on their rhythm. Enter the deeper conflict. Stephen's past, unburied. A letter arrived, forwarded from base days, a buddy from Fallujah. Ramirez, writing from a VA psych ward. Hey Sarge, it's bad again. The dreams. You get it. Could use a voice from the sand. Stephen read it alone in the shop after close, tears salting the paper, then burned it in the sink, flame-licking blue. He hadn't told Logan about the full scope of his deployments, the friendly fire incident that cost Ramirez a leg, the guilt Stephen carried like shrapnel. When the nightmares peaked, Stephen thrashing, yelling incoming, Logan held him through, but the walls rebuilt. Talk to me, Logan pleaded one dawn. Sheets damp. Whatever it is, we carry it together. Stephen shook his head, haunted. Some weights sink ships. Lo, I won't risk us. The divide widened. Stephen throwing into work, extra outreach events. Late nights mentoring kids at the center, while Logan buried in code. The app launch a success that felt hollow. Holiday lights twinkled mockingly as Thanksgiving neared. Ellie's visit a bright spot. She arrived with pie and prying eyes, cornering Stephen during a walk. He's fading, you know. Whatever you're hiding, fix it before it breaks him. Stephen nodded, resolve hardening. He booked a counselor's retreat, couples intensive in the Cascades. No phones, just raw truth. Pack warm, he told Logan over breakfast. We're digging out roots. The cabin was remote. Snow-dusted pines whispering secrets. A therapist named Riley guiding sessions by a crackling hearth. Day 1 cracked facades. Stephen spilling the Fallujah fire I called the shot. Ramirez lost the leg because I froze. Logan's hand in his. Steady. You survived. That's not failure. Nights were reckonings, hot cocoa and tears. Stephen's head in Logan's lap as he unpacked the guilt. Logan confessing his fear of abandonment. Roots in Ohio's rejection. I push because I panic you'll leave, he admitted. Stephen kissed his palm. Not going anywhere. You're my north. By week's end, they emerged lighter, roots aired and tended. Back home, the app's ribbon-cutting, Logan on stage, Stephen in the front row. Scout's bandana festive, sealed the mend. But life, ever the dramatist, had one more twist. Christmas Eve, A knock at midnight. Jake, sober-faced, rain-soaked on the stoop. Not here for trouble. Heard about the award, congrats. And I'm sorry. For everything. He handed a wrapped box, old photos, annotated with apologies. I was wrong. Be happy. Then he left, vanishing into the night. Stephen showed Logan, who laughed, bittersweet. Ghosts closing chapters. Finally, they burned the box in the fireplace, toasting marshmallows to the flames, Scout snoring by the tree. To us, Logan said, clinking mugs. To enduring, but betrayal's final form wasn't Jake's, it was internal. New Year's. Stephen collapsed during a run, chest tight, vision blurring. Our lights harsh. Diagnosis: stress-induced arrhythmia, echoes of deployment trauma. Logan white-knuckled the bedrail as docs hooked IVs. You pushed too hard, he whispered, tears falling. We both did. Stephen, pale but smirking, squeezed his hand. Worth it. For this, recovery was slow, bed rest, meds, therapy doubled. Logan took leave, nursing with bone broth and bad jokes, their world shrinking to couch forts and Netflix marathons. Vulnerability deepened bonds. Stephen's fears voiced. Logan's strengths leaned on. I almost lost you, Logan confessed one night. You saved me, Stephen replied. Every day, spring renewal brought clarity. Stephen scaled back shop hours. Logan delegated code. They adopted a routine of check-ins, weekly truth teas, no topic off-limits. The city bloomed around them, a metaphor for their growth. Yet, the humanistic core emerged in quiet acts. Volunteering at the center, Stephen clipping hair for trans kids, Logan teaching coding basics. One boy, wide-eyed and scared, confided his coming-out fears. Logan shared his story, Stephen adding, "It gets better because you make it so." In those moments, love transcended romance, became legacy. Summer's zenith arrived with a heat wave that turned Seattle into a steam bath, the sound a shimmering tease under relentless blue. Logan and Stephen marked their anniversary, not the haircut night, but the park reconciliation with a ferry ride to Bainbridge, bikes rented for coastal paths lined with blackberries bursting tart on the tongue. Scout bounded ahead, leash a blur, while they pedaled side by side, wind tousling fresh fades. Stephen's ritual touch-up now a monthly rite, scissors whispering endearments. Life had settled into a hard-won equilibrium. The scars of betrayal and doubt faded to silver threads in their tapestry. Logan's app evolved, user stories pouring in, teens finding safe spaces, families bridging gaps, each ping a validation of his worth beyond code. Stephen's shop thrived, walls papered with thank you notes from vets and kids alike. The compass tattoo now joined by a small outline of a ferry boat on Logan's wrist. Inked during a tipsy date at Marco's parlor, our crossing. But humanism demands reflection, and the past circled back gently, not with claws but questions. Logan's dad passed in July, quiet, in sleep, the cancer claiming its toll. The call came mid-barbecue, Ellie's voice steady but strained. Logan flew solo, Stephen's hand lingering on his at the gate. I'll be here. Always. Ohio's funeral was a study in contrasts. Rain lashing the graveside, mourners in black umbrellas murmuring platitudes. Logan's mom clutching his arm like a lifeline. Dads will surprised. The family farm deeded partial to Logan. With a note. Build something good, son. Love, Dad. No sermons on sin, just acceptance etched in legalese. Logan returned changed. The farm a symbol to wrestle, sell for cash, or honor with queer-friendly AG co-op. He and Stephen debated over porch swings, fireflies winking approval. Make it yours, Stephen urged. A place for second chances. The decision crystallized during a center event. A teen panel on family rejection, stories echoing Logan's youth. He stood afterward, mic in hand. My dad came around late. But he did. Don't give up on the hard hearts, they're human too. Applause thundered, Stephen's eyes misty from the sidelines. Fall brought harvest. Logan spearheading the co-op remotely, partners sourced for sustainable crops. A bunkhouse revamped for visiting artists and activists. Ellie visited, meeting Stephen officially over cider at the farm, her blessing a hug that squeezed tight. You too? Unbreakable. Winter's cusp tested that. A storm knocked power out citywide. The apartment plunged to candlelight. Scouts howls a soundtrack to canned soup heated on a camp stove. Curled under blankets, Logan traced Stephen's jaw. Remember the rain that night? First cut. Stephen chuckled. Lo. How could I forget? You looked like a drowned rat with trust issues. And you? Steady hands. Sharper eyes. Logan kissed him slow. The world outside howling. Saw me. Really saw. Stephen's gaze held. Profound. Still do. Every layer. The climax's echo faded. But one final conflict loomed, not betrayal from without, but the quiet fear of complacency. New Year's Eve. Atop the Space Needle. City sprawled like a promise below. Stephen turned with champagne flutes. We've fought storms. Lo. But what's next? Kids? Travel? The unknown. Logan pondered, bubbles fizzing on his tongue. Everything. As long as it's us. No grand gestures. Just truth, love as verb. Enduring through mundane miracles. The year turned, and with it, their story deepened. Spring saw the farm's ribbon cutting, rainbow flags snapping in the breeze, Stephen clipping inaugural styles under a tent while Logan demoed the app to locals. A kid from the center, the same wide-eyed boy, approached shy. This place. It's hope. Logan knelt. A level. Yeah. Built it for days like that. Years folded forward, adoptions considered. A ring exchanged in the Olympics cabin. Vows whispered under stars. Betrayals became backstory, fueling empathy. Stephen's outreach expanded to abuse survivor workshops. Logan's code securing hotlines nationwide. They parented Scout till his gray muzzle slowed, then fostered pups, hearts elastic. The humanistic end unfolded not in tragedy, but quiet triumph. On their 10th haircut anniversary, Logan's hair still falling to Stephen's cape, they sat in the shop after close, rain pattering familiar. Simple cut, Logan mused. Turned everything. Stephen smiled. Shears set aside, pulling him close. Nah. It was you. Brave enough to show the pain. Outside, Seattle breathed, gray skies parting to gold. A city of reinventions. Inside, two men held each other. Love a steady pulse. Not perfect, but profoundly human. In the end, that's the turning point that lasts.